Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Remi. Thanks for tuning in. I film from Boston, Massachusetts, and on my channel I discuss on faith, lifestyle, and development. So if you've seen my previous videos, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to check the about section of my YouTube page to see my mission and vision statement, just a short statement to let you know what this channel is about. On today's video, I will be talking on women empowerment, and the subtopic for today is take a stand, speak up. Take a stand, speak up. As women, we need to be more courageous. As women, we need to be brave, we need to be bold, we need to take a stand for some of the stereotypes that we face. We need to rise above the stereotypes, and we need to learn how to say no when we need to say no. So for today's video, I am going to be using two women as examples. The first woman I'm going to be using as an example is Rosa Parks. Okay, so for those who don't know, Rosa Parks, she is an American activist. She was very vocal, she was very strong, she was very brave and confident during her times, and she was very active in the civil rights movement of her days. And some background about her is she was born in February of 1913 and died in October of 2005. And she was fondly called by the Congress at the time the First Lady of Civil Rights and also the mother of the freedom movement. So yeah, she was very prominent during her days, and she spoke up, and she took action about some of the racial injustice that was going on during her time. There was a lot of Black killings during her time, and she pretty much stood up for herself, for her generation to come, for all the women in America at the time. Actually, more like all the women in the world at the time. So she was a very bold woman. So at that time, she was living in Alabama, and in Alabama at the time, they had bus segregation laws. So there were laws and customs that were in place that were very discriminatory towards African Americans. But for Rosa Parks, she had two strikes against her. She was not just Black, she was just not African American, she was also a woman. And at the time, even the NAACP, and that's the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People at the time, made a comment, and he said, women don't need to be nowhere but in the kitchen. So you can imagine the time frame we're talking about here. And she had a job as a secretary, and she was working, for the NAACP at the time. And he said, women don't need to be nowhere but in the kitchen, but he needed her to work because she was good at her job, and he needed a secretary. But you can imagine the times that she was living in. She was a woman and she was Black. So in Alabama at the time, the laws and customs, especially with regards to the bus, was that white people got to sit down at the front row of the bus, and Black people had to sit down at the back row of the bus. So I think it was the first 4 rows that the whites were entitled to, and the Blacks can sit on the rows right after that. And if a white person came on the bus and there was no more space for the space that was set aside for white people, somebody a Black person would have to get up and give up his or her seat for the white person to sit. And if there was no space at all in the bus, the Black person would actually have to leave the bus. Yeah, so it was pretty bad, and to the point that even if a white person had to enter the bus and there were white people sitting in front, they would have to enter the bus from the back. So you can imagine the times that she was in. And it got to a point on a certain day, which she's very popular for that day for, was when she said no. The bus conductor was trying to find a seat for a white person that just came on the bus, and he was asking Rosa Parks to give up her seat, and she said no. She just flat out said no. She knew the repercussions of that. The repercussions of that was that she would be arrested and end up in jail, but she still said no. She pushed back. Such confidence. She was so brave. And I like to read a quote that she said years later when she had an autobiography. And she said, people always say that I didn't give up my seed because I was tired. But that isn't true. I was not tired physically, or no more tired than I usually was at the end of a working day. I was not old, although some people have an image of me as being old then. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. She was tired of giving in. She was just tired of being oppressed. She was tired of, people taking advantage. And she said no. It was not because she was tired of anything else. She was just tired of giving in. And another quote she said was, I did not want to be mistreated. I did not want to be deprived of the seat that I had paid for. It was just time. There was opportunity for me to take a stand, to express the way I felt about being treated in that manner. I had not planned to get arrested. I had plenty to do without having to end up in jail. But when I had to face that decision, I didn't hesitate to do so because I felt that we had endured that too long. The way we gave in, the more we gave in, the more we complied with that kind of treatment, the more oppressive it became. If you don't speak up about something, if you don't take a stand about something, you're not going to get it any better. It's only going to get worse. No one is going to do the speaking up for you. And I think as women, we need to do better with speaking up. For years, and since the beginning of time, society has pretty much dictated what a woman can do or what she cannot do. And we need to start taking a stand against that and pushing back on that, saying, no, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me, you can't place limitations on my life, pretty much. And we need to start taking a stand. And notice that what Rosa Parks did here is that she did not only stand up for herself. What she did, her actions helped change the landscape of the United States at the time. When you do this, when you speak up, when you take a stand, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the generations to come. You're doing it for other women. You're doing it for your daughters, your nieces, young girls that look up to you. You're doing it not just for yourself alone, but for other people as well. And on the reverse side of that, if you don't speak up, if you don't take a stand, you're doing a disservice to the rest of the women out there in the world. You're literally doing a disservice. It's a disservice because if you're not speaking up, you have an opportunity to say something that can start a change, but you're not speaking up. It's a disservice. And as women, we need to start challenging the stereotypes that everyone has made normal. Stereotypes are so oblivious these days that it seems normal, but it's really not. And we need to start challenging these things. How? We can just start by pointing it out. Point it out. Talk about it. If it's at your church, talk about it. Amongst your friends, talk about it. In your family, talk about it. Point these things out. Even if someone is saying it as a joke, someone is making, a stereotypical comment that's supposed to be a joke. It's not funny, and we need to start talking and pushing back on these things. We need to start addressing the fact that having these types of stereotypes is very harmful, is very hurtful, and it doesn't help a woman to grow. It does not help at all. And we need to start pushing back against that. The second woman that I'm going to use as an example is Queen Esther in the Bible. And she was another woman that was faced with a decision. She also had 2 strikes against her. She was a woman, and also she was a member of the oppressed people at the time, the Jews. At that time, Haman, the prime minister, he had a decree and that, all the Jews should be destroyed. And Esther was she was a Jewish person. So she was a woman and she was a Jew. And her cousin, Mordecai, pleaded with her that, she should go to the king and beg the king so that, he doesn't destroy all the Jews in the town. That was brave. It took courage for her to go to the king to make her request. But she was doing it for her people. She was doing it for her people. When you take a stand, when you speak up about something, it's more than just you. You're helping people out as well. And if you don't, you're not helping people out. but she had to do it so her people don't get destroyed. So it took courage for her to take a stand, just as it took Rosa Parks the courage to take her seat and say no. She said, no, don't be afraid to say no. Do not be afraid to say no. You know, whatever society hands to you, I think for the longest time as women, we've just been saying yes. We've just been collecting it. We've just been adapting to it and saying, you know what? Yeah, that's how life is. No. We need to start pushing back on certain things and taking a stand. Because like I said, we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for other people as well. And as women, we have got to take a stand. Even be it, like I said earlier on, the quote by the leader at the time that says, you know, women should just be in the kitchen. It's a domestic stereotype. Enough of the domestic stereotypes. Enough of it. It's 2019 and we women do so much more than just be in the kitchen. We do so much more than just raise kids. Now, if that's what you want to do, that's perfectly fine, but that's your choice. But society should not dictate to us that because we're women, we only fit certain things in life. We cannot be, you know, we cannot grow in our careers because we're women. We shouldn't do certain jobs because there's occupational or occupation stereotypes as well. So, you know, there are jobs that people think that, you know, a man should only do, and there are jobs that people think that only a woman should just do, and that's all she's limited to. No, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's 2019, and we just need to start pushing back on these things. We need to start pushing back on whatever limitations, whatever stereotypes, whatever garbage, you know, society is trying to tell us that we need to conform to. It's just not going to work. And until we speak up, no one's going to do the speaking up for us. So I hope this inspires somebody. I hope this encourages somebody. Please leave in the comment section below some of the stereotypes that you've seen, be it at your church, at school, at work, amongst your friends, among family. Put it down in the comment section. Let's talk about it. And some of the crazy expectations people, you know, place on women. Let's just start talking about these things and let's start addressing these things, because if we don't talk about it, it's never going to get addressed. It's never going to get fixed. And people are just going to think that it's okay when in fact it's not. So I really hope that this can just be the beginning of the conversations, the many conversations to come on the whole idea of women empowerment. And I hope that this has empowered somebody. I hope that this has helped somebody to see the light. Women empowerment topics are not just limited to women. Men need to hear these things. Men need to be educated on these things. Because at the end of the day, we all have a role to play in this, on this topic. We all have a role to play on this issue. And I hope and I pray that this is just the beginning of great things to come. This is just the beginning of, you know, a change to come. And change starts with you. It starts with me. You know, a lot of times we're looking for that big picture, but no, it starts with, you know, taking actions every day. What are you doing to help women empowerment? What am I doing to help women empowerment? Are we talking about it? Are we trying to fix issues, broken systems, broken issues? Are we trying to fix the wrong stereotypes that people have had for years? Are we trying to break that? Let's just take courage. Let's take courage. Let's take a stand. And I know that, you know, it cannot be easy. If you're trying to challenge something that has been the norm for years, obviously you're going to get pushback. Obviously it's not going to be easy, but it takes courage. And I hope and I pray that this helps somebody out there. And I hope that this is the beginning of great things to come. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this, please subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye guys.